Hello, sweet mystery, how are you? You don't know me, I'm your native son. Canadian Fuhrer back on top, back on the tip top of the mountain. Coming out hard, coming out strong. Coming out with a vengeance. A vengeance. Ahoy, mateys. Arr. Give me that old time religion. Give me that Christian situation. The Snyder cut, dude. I'm not watching that shit. Y'all better beware the Loup Garou. Beware the Loup Garou when you out there traveling the bayou. Nah. You don't want to run into the Loup Garou. You know what I'm saying? They out there, boy. The Loup Garou. Better watch out. You better watch your back. The Loup Garou gonna get you. My hair looks Viking today. Arr. Kind of creature is that? That's a werewolf. That's the French werewolf. The Loup Garou. Means wolfman. Loup, L-O-U-P, is how you say wolf in French. And Garou, I don't know. I think that's like wolfman. It's a werewolf. The Loup Garou, man. Better watch out for the Loup Garou. He out there. Fits with my name. They just dropped a Viking update for Crusader Kings. The Chupacabra similar? I mean, only in that it's like a fantastical beast that, you know, a culture or multiple cultures have adopted their own version of, like the El Chupacabra and the Kukui. I guess the Kukui is different. The Kukui is like the boogeyman, basically. So I guess the Kukui doesn't really work, but yeah. El Chupacabra. Yeah, the Yeti, skinwalkers. All this shit. Never heard of the Kukui? Ah, Dios mío. You better watch out. The Kukui's coming for you. You guys ever see that movie, Ravenous? There's this fucking weird movie, man. And I don't know if I can recommend it because I don't know if it's a good movie or not. It's called Ravenous. And it's about like this Civil War soldier who gets decorated for being a coward, basically. Like he survives by pretending to be a dead body, and then he pops up and kills a few enemy soldiers or whatever, and he gets like the medal or whatever for it. But people kind of know that he pussied out, and so he gets sent to this fucking weird outpost out west. Yeah, he gets sent to this weird outpost out west, like the furthest west outpost that the United States had up in the mountains and shit. And he meets this weird crew of people that have been slowly going insane up there. Yeah, cannibal / Wendigo movie. Pretty good. Pretty weird. Like I said, I don't know if it's good. It's weird. It's a weird movie. It leaves you with a weird feeling, and it's got an amazing soundtrack. But yeah, I don't know why I just thought. Well, I guess I thought about that because we were talking about the Loup Garou and the Wendigo and stuff. It's called Ravenous. Yeah, no, it's not a French film. Not a zombie film. Yeah, definitely a unique film, for sure. A cool film. It's got like Guy Pearce in it. And Guy Pearce plays the main character in it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There's a 2017 one. Yeah, it's not that one. It's definitely like a 90s film, like a 96 or 95 or something like that. Maybe a little later, 97.
I traded cups so well.
That's okay. You sunning it, D? You sunning it?
Now you're shading it?
Now you're shading it. Be careful being that close up to this rocking chair. I'm always worried about you. You're gonna get pinched. You're gonna get your little
butt there.
You're gonna get your little booty pinched.
There you go. Tail's still a little close.
I mean, yeah, that whiptail. I know what's under there. I've seen it. I've seen the movie Last Days. Yeah, it's the one where they like cast it's like about Kurt Cobain, but not. You know what I mean? They did that, like cast somebody that looks like Kurt and cast somebody that looks like Courtney, but they never really mention their names. I've seen it. Yeah,
that's the movie that introduced me to Venus and Furs by the Velvet Underground.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Velvet Underground is great. Like their song Heroin.
Yeah.
Cool band. Like an art band put together by Andy Warhol. Yeah. When I put the spike into my vein, everything feels like it's not the same. Velvet Underground and Nico. Yep. They had a very recognizable art cover, just a banana. I don't know why TJ doesn't love the Velvet Underground, man.
Too advanced.
Too advanced, yeah. What do you think about the Soaked in Bleach documentary? I mean, dude, I don't know. You know me. I tend towards conspiratorial type thinking anyway. And there's just... I don't know what happened to Kurt Cobain, but this narrative that he went out and shot himself, I just don't buy it, man. There's too much fucking... And maybe that's just me not wanting Kurt, who is a personal hero of mine, to have gone out the way that people say he did. Just a heroin junkie that decided to fucking end it all at his house or whatever. But there's so many inconsistencies about the story, about how he was discovered, about the body and the condition of the body, how long he had been there. Fucking the fact that the door was fucking locked from the outside. Like, how did he do that? How did he lock himself into that room? The fucking placement of the shotgun makes no sense, given how they say that he killed himself. Like, they say that he killed himself by putting the shotgun in his mouth like this and pulling the trigger with his thumb, but the way that his body was found, like, the shell ejected to the wrong side.
Now, you'd think if he was a heroin addict that he just killed himself with heroin.
I mean, that's another inconsistency about his death, is the toxicology reports on him said that he had like twice the lethal dose of heroin in his system when he killed himself. Now, a lot of people explain that away because heroin addicts have a higher tolerance and shit.
But he might have already been dead.
Right. That's what a lot of people think, is that somebody just shot him up with an extra dose to kill him or whatever, and then, or maybe shot him in the head and then, you know, shot him up before they did it so he would be compliant, and then try to make it look like a fucking suicide. There's so Courtney Love hired a fucking private eye to look into the disappearance of Kurt Cobain when he jumped the fence at a European rehab that he was in, hopped a plane and came back to Seattle. And that's where people lose track of him. Courtney Love hires a private investigator who has nothing but negative things to say about her and the way that she conducted herself during this. He was suspicious almost from the very fucking start that she knew more than she was telling him. There's that junkie friend of theirs that took the guy the night before Kurt Cobain's body was discovered. This junkie friend of Kurt's and Courtney's, I can't remember what his name was, takes this private investigator to Kurt and Courtney's mansion, which is sitting there unused, to look through it for signs that Kurt had been there. They find this hastily thrown together note from one of their friends on the stairs saying, "Hey, Kurt, you asshole, you better call, blah, 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 blah. Courtney's worried sick." And that it's placed on the stairs. So, like, they find that. They go through, they toss Kurt's room, Kurt and Courtney's bedroom, completely. Like, lift up the bed, take the bedding off, look through all the closets and shit, trying to look for Kurt's gun. They didn't find it. He asked this dude who knew Kurt, like, is there anywhere in this house that we haven't gone that Kurt might be in? And the dude says, no. Knowing that Kurt's favorite spot in the house was the little fucking attic room over the garage. That's where Kurt used to go shoot up, sit by himself, listen to music, etc. So he knows Kurt's favorite place in the fucking house is right over the garage. This private investigator doesn't even know that there's a livable space above the garage. So the guy doesn't take him there. And then the next day, Kurt's body is found. He's been dead for 3 days. And there's a suicide note on the bed that this guy tossed the night before. How did that happen? Like, what's the explanation there? Assuming that this guy is telling the truth, which I guess I could fucking open myself up to the possibility that this fucking PI guy is making up this story for publicity's sake or whatever the fuck. But let's just say that that's how it went down. How did that happen? Courtney killed him is the explanation. Yeah. Or somebody did. Maybe not Courtney, but somebody.
Maybe the dude.
Right. He literally ghost wrote his own note. Yeah. He somehow wrote a note when the night before his body was discovered, that whole bedroom was tossed because they were looking for, like, here's and this seems totally fucking, like, justifiable. The main reason that this investigator wanted to look in the house, we wanted to look in for 2 reasons. Number one, he wanted to check for signs that Kurt had been there or was there. Obviously, he's a private investigator that is charged with looking for this lost celebrity. He wants to look at the guy's house. He wants to look through their house. Number two, he wanted to get things that this other guy said that Kurt had. So, drugs and the shotgun. that Kurt ended up killing himself with. That's what they were there looking for. They found neither.
Yeah, I think you did do an episode on Kurt Cobain. It was shared on his birthday.
Yeah, it was an early episode. Like almost 3 years ago. I think it was one of the first 10 episodes of the show. But is there evidence for him being killed or just the inconsistencies in the suicide story? So the person who discovered the body was an electrician who was trying to get into the room to check it for shorts or something, found the door locked from the inside, looked inside and saw Kurt's body laying there and called the police. The police show up, break the window to get into the door, and find Kurt lying on his back with his head blown off, with his heroin works laying next to him, and the shotgun on the other side of him. They do a bunch of reconstructions soaked in bleach of different ways that Kurt could have pulled the trigger on a shotgun. It's not, as you can imagine, flipping a shotgun around and using it to kill yourself is not exactly the most intuitive fucking thing in the world to do. It's not easy. It's not an easy maneuver. It can be done, but it's not an easy maneuver. They find that he's so fucking loaded on heroin that he probably shouldn't have been able to move when he did this. And they find inconsistencies on where the gun fell, given what they know about Kurt. Kurt was right-handed, how he would have pulled the trigger. They've looked at it several different ways, and it makes no sense where the shotgun cartridge and the shotgun itself were found in relationship to the body. So, yeah. The Seattle Police Department is complicit in this shit. It looked like a big fucking giant cover-up from the start. They just stamped suicide on it, closed down the investigation, refused to look at new evidence in the investigation. Kurt would have had a high tolerance. Well, that's what a lot of people say, right? Is that, well, okay, he's a junkie, so junkies can take a lot of heroin. The amount of heroin that was in Kurt's system, it doesn't matter what kind of junkie he was. It was enough heroin to, even if he had the most prodigious fucking heroin tolerance on the planet, let's assume that he did, it would have incapacitated him at the very least. He would not have been capable of pulling off the mechanics of shooting himself in the fucking head on that much fucking heroin. Like, he had an absurd amount of heroin in the system.
I found the episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amelia just linked the Cobain episode. Have you ever seen how Chris Cornell, Anthony Bourdain, and other celebrities were working on a child trafficking documentary right before the year they all suicided? Is that true?
That's more in the more egregious conspiracy territory that you don't really spend any time in.
I just haven't heard of that one. I mean, the fucked up thing about suicide is that it really is a believable way to get rid of certain types of personalities. There are certain types of personalities who people hear, oh, so-and-so committed suicide, and they're like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Bourdain, he's one of these dudes that was known as, kind of a volatile guy. Kind of a guy that tended towards depressiveness and was kind of a fucking out of the box kind of thinker and a kind of aggressive person. And so they're like, oh, yeah, Anthony Bourdain killed himself. Now maybe he did. I don't know. Especially rich and famous people, because usually they're crazy people. Yeah, true.
I mean, you have no doubts about Robin Williams. That's
No.
kind of a cut and dry thing.
Robin Williams is, you know what I mean? That's the thing, is a lot of these suicide cases have a very obvious impetus for them. Robin Williams is suffering from Lewy body dementia, which is horrible. He was going to live a horrible life as basically a vegetable that couldn't remember anything, and he chose not to do that. He chose to go out with some level of dignity, and it's unfortunate.
But he was also extremely depressed.
Of course. I mean, that was part of his disease, so it makes sense. Kurt Cobain, The inconsistencies don't stop at the fucking scene of the alleged suicide. They don't stop at the testimony of the private eye hired by Courtney Love or by friend. You know, it's they talk to people, his friends, and Kurt was not at the time considered by his friends to be depressed. Kurt, in fact, according to most of the close people that they interviewed at the time, was feeling good. He was on, like, a lot of people say that his relationship with Courtney was on the skids, and that was a good thing for him. Like, he was getting away from her and her fucking craziness, and it was making his life a little bit better. Like, everybody felt like, you know, and that's not saying that probably happens in a lot of suicide cases where people are like, oh, you know, I can't believe it's him. But you add that to the inconsistencies in the story, to the inconsistencies in the murder scene, to the absolute obstinance of the Seattle Police Department to treat this high-profile case as anything other than a suicide. Like, to just refuse to look into it beyond that. Nope, suicide. Won't reopen it. Nope, don't want to look at it. Nope, suicide, 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 suicide. That's it. It's like, wait a minute. Something this high, like, I'm not even saying that, like, he deserved it because he was high profile, but Kurt Cobain was the biggest star in the world at that time, arguably. The fucking biggest rock star in the world and a generationally important person. And he kills himself and you don't even look into it? You just go like, oh, signed, sealed, delivered, found his body, head blown off, killed himself. It's a suicide. It's like, sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just all of these little plausible deniability pockets. When you add everything together, they don't really seem all that worthwhile. It's like, yeah, okay. If there was no other inconsistency and people were just saying like, oh yeah, he seemed happy before he did it. Oh, that's probably true. A lot of people that resign themselves to kill themselves probably seem outwardly happy in the days before they do it. But you add that, the testimony of his friends and family who testify to him not being a suicidal person. And his lyrics, by the way, were used to like somehow imply that he was a suicidal person because they have sometimes violent and sometimes self-harming kind of imagery in them. I think that's fucking ridiculous. I think taking Kurt's music and using it as some kind of proof that he killed himself is ridiculous. Lyrics are lyrics.
What about Marilyn Monroe, dude?
That's another conspiracy, but I think Marilyn Monroe is far more a cut and dried kind. Now, there are people that say that she was killed because she had an affair with Kennedy and she knew something about his fucking administration or knew something about his family. There are people that say that she was killed by the movie industry to silence her about abuses or whatever that she had gone through while being a starlet. I don't know. Marilyn Monroe, it's been longer, and I wasn't around when she was a cultural icon, so I really don't know all the particulars.
Dude, you do have a comfy sweatshirt. Someone said it looked cozy.
Oh yeah, it is cozy,
right now.
and it's on sale. The Doomer shirt. Yeah, go get a Doomer shirt. Go get a comfy sweatshirt. In fact, Kurt Cobain's grave is visited more than Elvis's house. Well, I mean, that makes sense. He's, a more recent cultural icon than Elvis is. What do you think about Tay K's lyrics being used as evidence in his murder case? I don't know, but it just reminds me of that Key and Peele sketch where, like, Keegan Michael Key is like playing the detective, and he's like, we got you. We've got you, man. We know you did this. And he's like, you ain't got nothing on me, Holmes. And then they start playing his rap song. He's like, I killed Darnell West with a pistol. And then every time he comes up with an excuse for it, he plays another lyric, and it's like more particulars about the crime. I mean, that there is a song called it's actually called Rap Knishes. I think it's on Food. It's a collaboration between MF Doom and I'm trying to remember the dude that's on the track, because MF Doom did the beat and then some other guy did the rap over it. But it's about rap snitches who tell all their business in their songs. Rap snitches telling all their business. Sit in the court and be your own star witness. Do I see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label locked up for years. Rap snitches. It's like Bobby Shmurda. Just caught a body about a week ago. Oops. I hid the murder weapon in my girlfriend's house, and the pigs ain't never gonna figure it out. I love that skit. Everybody catching bullet holes. I love that song, though. Paul, will you ever rap again? Dude, we got one in the works right now. I mean, Beauregard does. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know.
Dude, this porch will hold up for at least another 6 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's
not probably like some 10-year thing, but
yeah, we ain't gonna be living here no 10 years though. No, this porch is, I don't know how else to say it. It's just very poorly made. Was TJ's mumble rap character in that one live stream? He had Sharpie on his face. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Lil Beezy? I can't remember what he said. Whispers McMillan, yeah. Paul, have you ever considered the policies and government of Ireland could be a good alternative to Uruguay? Oh, I don't know, laddie. Seems like it might be a hard place to immigrate to.
plus it's Catholic as shit.
Maybe I could be a Catholic. Catholics seem to be pretty open about the hypocrisy of being Catholic, so,
I mean, abortion, I think, in particular, is like they're extra against.
Some of them are. Some of them ain't. Not all Catholics are anti-abortion Catholics, but yeah. I mean, the overall fucking radiation of the Catholic Church is don't use condoms and don't get an abortion. So
And don't get divorced.
Yeah, don't get divorced, yeah. See that King of Queens did a cast reunion. Shame Jerry Stiller passed. He was the best part of the show. I'll take your word for it. I never watched King of Queens. about the Amazon workers unionizing in Alabama. Not sure it happened, but there was a huge push for it there a week or so ago. Yeah, I mean,
It's been going on way longer than a week.
Yeah, the Amazon unionization movement has been state to state going on for years now.
But the Alabama thing, I think, is at least like 3 months old or something.
Sure. And they don't have much hope unless they get like I've said before, and I think that this holds up under scrutiny. If you wanted to do like a targeted unionization of a big company like Amazon, you would have to get 70% or more of the Amazon workplaces under your banner. And we're talking like you'd have to get office space and not just the fulfillment centers, all of the other routing centers and anything Amazon adjacent. You need 70% of it.
And customer service too.
Right, exactly. It's got to be everybody. And so if you could get that number, 70% of the workforce walks on the same day, you could do some real fucking damage to Amazon's iron grip on the worker.
Dude, they've been releasing hella ads lately. Like, look at how happy this worker is.
Yeah. Oh my God, those ads make me want to fucking puke. Hey, Paul, just curious. Amazon went on strike. Would you stop ordering for them? I mean, if they went on the proper type of strike, I wouldn't have a choice. That's kind of the point. Is you get 70% of Amazon fulfillment centers closed down, people aren't going to be ordering shit.
Dude, one time when I was working there, apparently someone pressed the wrong button and it like shut down the whole network. We just need to get someone to push that button again.
Yeah, dude, push the fucking shut down network button.
The only thing is it fucks up Amazon Web Services, so it kills a bunch of other websites.
Hey, that's part of it.
Yeah.
This big-ass fucking company has been gobbling up these fucking web services, and you have to go through them to get your fucking website on. All that shit needs to go down. We're talking about... you want to cause a ruckus with a strike. You know what I mean? And one fulfillment center going on strike, they're just going to scab it. Amazon scabs their own employees anyway. Like, they have, like, basically a scab policy there. They work you until you're fucking broken, and then you're replaced literally as you're walking out for your last day. Your replacement's coming in. You know what I mean? Like, there's no end.
I mean, if it was just one fulfillment center, they would just have a few people in there to, like, palletize it all up and send it somewhere else. Like,
they would scab it. Yeah, they'd have you would have to have a strike line that covered the entrance to the fulfillment center truck depot. So you'd have to, wherever the deliveries in the back of the fulfillment center are made, that big bay, I'm sure, of doors where the trucks back up to and everything's offloaded, you'd have to fucking block that or block truck entry. Wherever that is, you have to block entry to the factory. They're going to scab it. The cops will show up. The fucking protest will be busted. And scabs will walk through the door.
Dude, they have, like, a whole, like, they reserve police officers through the whole holiday season.
Why?
To combat theft.
Just like they treat their fucking people like prisoners. That's not how strikes even work anymore. What do you mean? Explain to me how strikes work now. I feel like I got to test Amelia's Eastern Washington cred. I felt this way ever since she dunked on Eastern Washington a few weeks ago. What?
I don't know if I dunked. It's more conservative. It's more hick-like.
Yeah, like,
a lot of time there.
I grew up in Central California and I dunk on it all the time.
Yeah. Like,
It's like it's fucking Hicksville. It's conservative Hicksville.
you tried checking into a hotel on the ass end of Washington as a black person and see how you do.
Like, I think it actually adds to her fucking cred that she knows this about fucking Washington. I love Amelia for a number of reasons, but one of the things that I love about Amelia is her completely unplaceable accent. You are an accentless wizard, but you have like 3 different accents that are blended into one crazy Amelia only accent. I love it. The unplaceable accent. There's sometimes you sound a little East Coasty because you've spent time there and you got family there. There's sometimes that you sound like very West Coast, and then you've got a very pronounced twang as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love it, dude.
Dude, Indiana fucked me up.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen. I'm a mess too. My whole accent thing is a mess, but like people that listen to me, they immediately peg where I'm from. They're like, "Oh, you're a California guy." There's so much little subtle, like, I don't know what you, little nuances to a fucking regional accent that people that know about that regional, like, I can hear another California person a mile away. There's a certain lilting California accent. Like, number one, how I say the word California. Like, I don't say California, California. You know what I mean? That's part of the California accent. The New York accent is the same way. Oh, yeah. Like, somebody that's from there could tell the difference, like, immediately between, like, a Bronx accent and a Jersey accent. But somebody that's never been there, it all sounds the same. You know what I mean?
I mean, you met my uncle. He's like 100% New York.
Yeah, dude. I loved your uncle was fucking great, by the way.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he was like so busy all the time.
Wow. I mean, he had one of those fucking jobs. How much I say like, that's part of the California aspect. It's like, you see, we say like a lot. A lot of people say like a lot, but it radiates pretty strong in the California dialect.
I guess Brianna was saying, I live with the union VP for SEIU. Hearing you talk about unions, and then it makes me wonder if you've done like actual research on this.
Hearing you talk about unions? What are you talking about, Brianna? I grew up in the union.
Your dad was a union.
My dad was a union president. My mom worked a union job her whole life. I attended strikes. Like, when I talk about the union, I'm not claiming like I know every little thing about organizing the upper levels of a fucking union, but I know union tactics. Like, I got to be honest with you, the SEIU is not like, I mean, no unions are doing any fucking good labor work anymore. They've been fucking co-opted and detoothed to the point of almost being pointless. The few powerful ones that remain are public unions, like police unions, prison guard unions, teachers unions. Seems like you have a lofty idea of what unions currently are. Things are a little different here in Oregon because there are a lot of unions here. There are a lot of unions where I grew up too.
I mean, you're almost doing the opposite of lofty.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you haven't been listening to me, but I just talked about like how Amazon, mobilizing one fucking fulfillment center and trying for a unionization of it is not going to produce like visible results in stopping Amazon's ill treatment of workers, and that it'll be that those people will be replaced. So
Working through a strike kind
how
of
is that
defeats the
lofty?
purpose.
My ideas for what a labor movement could be are incredibly lofty, because I've seen firsthand the power of solidarity in the fucking collective bargaining environment. I watched it. I watched the weird, angry democratic process by which people fucking bargained for their contract. I watched my dad run that shit. I'm just curious because it seemed like you were cool with crossing a picket line when a store is going on strike. What?
You didn't say that. You said that if Amazon went on a real strike, people wouldn't even have a choice.
Yeah, see, when did I say I would cross a fucking picket line? I said if Amazon actually went on strike, you wouldn't have the choice to order from Amazon. Because Amazon would be shut the fuck down. That's a lofty goal, though. Okay, well, you misunderstood then, Brianna. I will never, ever, ever cross a fucking active picket line in my life. Unless I'm there to join it. Paul, myself, and my fellow employees are trying to unionize. Advice? I've given this advice a bunch of times here, but in short, you need to start networking, not just with people that are in your building, but with people who are in adjacent industries and people who are in adjacent companies that within your company. So you need to talk to not just the people who do your job on the floor, whatever it is, but the people who run your customer service. You need to start getting a group of these people put together, and you've got all the tools that you need to do that in kind of a secretive way with the internet now. I mean, you can start fucking private Reddits, you can start this, you can start that. There are a number of fucking ways that you can create a space where if you're careful, you can start organizing in your environment. But that would be my fucking advice on how to start. If you have no union background whatsoever, read about the union, like the early labor movements here in the United States and in Europe. Just tactically speaking. Because you need to understand that if the company that you're working for catches wind of what you're doing, they're going to want to get somebody on the inside to funnel them information about what's happening and who's leading what, and they're going to want to find ways to get rid of those people and sow dissent amongst the fucking movement. So it has to be secretive. It has to be furtive until you're ready to come out as one in solidarity. And so you need to be sneaky. Use VPNs. Don't fucking talk about it at work. You know, meet in secret. Use the internet. Use the multiple tools that you have. Be discretionary about who you fucking bring into the movement. If somebody seems like they're really close or adjacent. There are strikes going on right now. So are you going to keep ordering from Amazon? I mean, if there are actual Amazon strikes going on right now, then no. I'll stop ordering from Amazon until the strikes are finished.
I mean, like, I follow Christian Smalls on Twitter, and I haven't seen, like, active, he's called for it, but...
Right. So, I mean, it's news to me if there are actual Amazon fulfillment center workers walking out and holding a strike line. I'm taking shrooms for the first time tonight. Any tips? Don't ask me for drug tips. Just read an article this morning about a fulfillment center going on strike. Well, Amelia is looking into it. Like I said, Amelia is an ex-Amazon fulfillment worker. She follows the unionization movement and the people that are, behind it. So if there is an active strike going on at an Amazon fulfillment center, and especially if, there are people fucking, creating a fucking picket line, I won't order a fucking thing from Amazon. But I haven't heard that that's happening.
Yeah, I see like a solidarity rally, but that's not Amazon. Like, it's not trying to strike an individual place.
Right.
It's like a protest, which is different.
How do you not just get exhausted with the corruption and greed in our government, Paul? Sometimes I feel so fatigued and helpless to make any demonstrable change when the government is so against the people. I do get exhausted. Like, I do. I'm exhausted all the time. Why do you think I take the political tact that I do and try and convince people to walk away from the broken, false two-party dichotomy that we're caught in and start organizing a labor movement from the ground up with a third party to support it? Everybody's tired. It makes everybody sick and tired.
Yeah, there was a boycott for a week, but that week's over now.
Like what?
Like just a hashtag Amazon or boycott Amazon.
That's not a strike. See, that's not a labor movement. Hashtag boycott Amazon. There's that fucking hashtag. Somebody's always posting that for every fucking goddamn company. If I boycotted every company that I was supposed to boycott, I'd have to fucking build a grass hut somewhere. So let's get real about this, Brianna. Don't get all fucking crazy with me. Don't get loco. If the Amazon fucking workers, there was a strike organized in Iowa like a few weeks ago. There was a strike organized. Did the strike take place? Because I didn't hear any news of it, and I'm pretty close to the sources of those news. That type of news. So where are you getting your information? There was a strike organized. What does that mean?
Did they walk out?
Did they walk? Did they form a line that was broken and get scabbed out? What happened? Because I didn't hear a fucking word about this.
There's been European ones, but
Is it even possible to consume goods and services ethically in today's world? No, not really. But I won't cross a fucking picket line. Amazon is an American company. And if its workers at one of these fulfillment centers walk out and get in a strike line that gets broken, I won't order a fucking thing from Amazon until their grievances are redressed. And if that's the end of my Amazon days, then that's the end of my Amazon days. But until that fucking happens, what's the point? Hey, Paul, I just wanted to thank you and the guys for the fast food mascot episode. Had me belly laughing through the whole thing. Well, I'm glad you liked it. Yes, it appears the strike happened. It was from Amazon drivers. Like, I don't know. Go ahead and post a link, Brianna.
I don't think she can.
I'll wrench you. Here you go. Here you go, Brianna. You've got a wrench. You probably should have had a wrench a while ago anyway. Although I will be keeping my eye on you. You're a provisional specter. But yeah, you can post links now. So go ahead and link it. If there's a legit strike that went on that was busted, a legit labor movement that was squashed by the company, then I will not order from Amazon ever again until those grievances are redressed. I don't cross picket lines, digitally or otherwise. Is eBay ethical compared to Amazon? They have more direct sales, right? Any other alt websites to look into? I mean, it depends. You know what I mean? There are tons of like websites that people use right now for convenience that are also on the verge of striking or possible labor movements, like the gig economy people that are doing, you know, Uber and Uber Eats and Lyft and all this other shit. All these delivery services, fucking DoorDash and Postmates and but as far as some kind of ethical source, I mean, let's drill down into ethics when it comes to being like somebody brought up electronics. Let's say you need something that's electronic. So do you have to go through Amazon to get that done? No, you don't. There are a number of other fucking electronics dealers. You can go directly to the manufacturer of the parts that you want, buy directly from them. You can get around Amazon for those electronics. But what's in those electronics? Coltan. Where is that coltan exclusively mined? Africa. Who is that coltan mined by? African slaves. Most of them, or not most of them, but some of them underaged. So teenage African slaves mine coltan under horrible fucking conditions so that we can have all our electronic shit. So how do you ethically have a piece of electronics?
All right. So Brianna said she was reading something from 2016.
What?
Brianna said that she was reading something from 2016.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean, look, dude. I have never in my life crossed a picket line other than to join it. And I want there to be a real, strong labor movement in this country, not just amongst Amazon workers, but for everybody. And I don't believe that targeted one-store strikes are the way to do it. It can't be done that way. There has to be strike relief. There has to be strike pay. There has to be strike feeding. There has to be there have to be people there from other unions or people willing to come from other unions to support these people in solidarity if they're going to walk out, and it's going to have to happen. So, you know what I mean? I'm there to help if I can. Oh yeah, the Dave Chappelle sketch about the dude that killed Tupac. No. That wasn't it. It was the sketch wasn't that Black Butter Crunch. The sketch was Tupac had been dead for like 10 years, and he's in the club, and they're like, "Yo, we got that new Tupac." And he's like, "Man, how does he keep, he just must have had a million songs out." And then, because that was the thing with Tupac, like for years after he died, they were releasing new Tupac songs because he had so much work that was in various stages of production. They were able to spread it out. And so the joke was that Tupac was talking about shit that Tupac shouldn't know about. You know what I mean? Like like Bill Clinton and shit. You know what I mean? Like who the president was after Bill Clinton. Like he shouldn't have known. I mean, boycotts have been successful things in the past, but I just don't think that we live in a day and age where they can be fucking organized to a point where they can make the dent that they used to be able to.
Like you said, you have to force the boycott.
Like a lot of people will boycott a company but not know that that company still profits from their purchase of the product from some other company. You know what I mean? Like the supply chain is so incestuous that even in my trying to not buy something from Amazon, I might get something that has gone through Amazon's supply chain at some point. You get me? Well, so yeah. It's just like, how do you fucking not...
eBay does, like, people on eBay will buy something from Amazon and just send it to your address all the time.
Right.
It's like...
You say you choose not to give your dollar to Amazon, but you're probably giving your dollars to Amazon by visiting sites that have Amazon Web Services and monetized ads on them. Amazon makes a piece of that. Like, so are you not giving your dollar to Amazon in that way? Are you avoiding all Amazon affiliated web content?
Like, I'm pretty sure like Netflix might be on Amazon Web Services. So.
You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. This is why boycotts don't work so much anymore. The supply chain is so incestuous, and these giant companies are into so many different things that a full boycott of the entire company is almost impossible. It's like Walmart. How do you get around Walmart?
Yeah, like Twitch is another AWS.
Isn't you
Facebook?
Facebook, Twitch. So do you not do any of these? Because if you visit any of these websites, you're giving money to Amazon.
Adobe, AOL.
Your grandma's still giving money to Amazon with those AOL free hour CDs.
Disney, the whole Dow Jones.
You see the absurdity?
Guardian, Reddit.
The list goes on and on and on.
Spotify.
How do you boycott that? Are you going to boycott all this? Are you writing this down? Because if you're visiting any or all of these websites like most of us do, you're putting money right in Amazon's pocket.
SoundCloud.
Don't use Twitch. Don't use Facebook. Don't use Spotify. Don't use SoundCloud. Don't use the Dow Jones website to check the fucking market. Don't use anything. Do you understand what companies are now? Companies used to be like, okay, let me explain to you a little difference about what's happened in the last fucking 100 years when it comes to companies. There are still companies that are very specialized. We make this widget for the supply chain. But these giant fucking multi-armed octopus companies like ExxonMobil, like fucking Google, like Amazon, right? These companies are into so much that you basically can't get around paying them. In some way, shape, or form or another, you have to get some kind of service that is a subsidiary of that company in some way. They get a piece of that pie. Every time you give your dollar, you're giving it to that company. America is horrific. Yeah. It's a nightmare. We did this trust busting at one point in American history, where the robber barons that were buying up all the coal companies and buying up all the railroad companies so that they had a total control over all the shipping costs and shit. These big monopoly companies that were gobbling up every type of industry around them in order to feed this endless machine of homogenization were broken up, and antitrust laws were instituted in this country that forced companies to separate parts of their company that had nothing to do with the core company. And over the course of the last fucking 100 years, 80 years or so, those antitrust laws have slowly but surely been eroded to the point where they don't exist anymore. And now the giant fucking octopus vampire squid is back. And it's bigger than it ever has been.
Well, like that T-Mobile Sprint merger. They played around like, oh yeah, we're going to block this. And then it went through anyways.
And that was an absurd consolidation of power. For like, what is it? Like 70% of people get cellular or internet services through those people, through a subsidiary of those people. It's like, oh.
AT&T is just going to end up buying it, or Verizon's going to buy it, and then it's just going to be like, you get one cell service.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Remember that one story that was repeated verbatim on every news station, basically acknowledging they're all owned by the same company? Yep. How eerie was that shit? I wish I could find that shit. If you've never heard that, you should go on Google and try and search for that. Somebody went through literally every news service and they all read the exact same copy, even though they're separate companies. How did that happen? That's another way the vampire squid is back. Collusion between these companies. They act like they're separate companies, but they're really two arms of the same company feeding each other money, feeding each other narratives, profiting off of each other's interpretations of each other's narratives. And in the background, they're all fucking conglomerate.
I mean, like, Subtunner, Paul's not telling you to go get Prime. He's just pointing out that a boycott is almost impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not telling you what to do with your dollar. You don't buy things from Amazon. Good on you. But Amazon owns a bunch. If you really don't want to put your dollar in Amazon's pocket, you need to go look into everything that Amazon owns and has a piece of. And we just listed off a fuck ton of websites that are hosted on Amazon Web Services, Netflix, fucking Spotify, this, that, the other thing. Twitch, Facebook, Guardian, Adobe. The list goes on, and that's just Amazon Web Services. Like, what else does Amazon do? Amazon does a fuck ton of shit.
Advertising.
Ads. So the whole Amazon advertising fucking arm. How do you avoid that?
Yeah, Nestle too is another one you can't.
I mean, yeah, you got to do your best. Well, I don't know, Brianna. I think that the U.S. government should take immediate action to break up these giant conglomerates, tech conglomerates, manufacturing conglomerates. Like, look into like companies like Eli Lilly, which is like ostensibly like a big drug manufacturer, but they've got fingers in everything. There's what's that other company that we talked about? That other giant squid fucking company. It just makes all the fucking, like, every product, like all the home shit, all like every paper towel brand and every fucking, they're all owned by this one fucking company. Every fucking dish soap and every this and every that.
The illusion of choice.
Right. It's just like they put out so many brands that are all flowing money right to them. And they give people like, oh yeah, I'm going to be discriminating and pay extra for the brand. Or I'm on the cheap. I'm looking for a... Nestle is a giant fucking squid company. I mean, the communications companies. You know what one of the biggest monopolies in the United States is? Internet providers. Like, we're literally to the point where there's like 3 giant companies that own the entire fucking country. And there's no choice for, most people when they live in an area. You either have this or you don't have internet.
Or electric companies.
Electric companies should be public utilities. Like, there should be no for-profit electricity companies anymore. Electricity is no longer a fucking, like, luxury for well-to-do people so that they don't have to light candles in their houses anymore. It is an absolutely necessary part of surviving in the current American landscape. It should be a public utility, and it should be provided free. It's a taxpayer benefit.
And there's water, too.
Water is the same fucking thing. You cannot live as a human being without water. There should be no for-profit water distribution in this fucking country. Water should be free and maintained at the taxpayer's expense. Why are we paying taxes and drinking lead water?
It's like, oh, let's just not let someone take a shower because they didn't pay their water bill.
Yep.
Someone freeze their ass off because they didn't pay their gas bill.
I mean, I don't even think the number has to be that high, Brianna. If like 75 to 80% of people need something in order to survive, it's a public utility or it's a fucking exploitative mega corporation. Take your pick. The internet. Who can fucking navigate the landscape of the internet?
Well, it's like the days of like paper job applications are over. A lot of places won't let you like just put in a paper application.
Right. Like, I remember when you were looking for work before the pandemic and shit. I had this idea of what going out and getting a job was. It's like, oh yeah, you go in and you put in an application. You don't do that anymore. Like most places don't even have paper apps. They just send you to the website. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how are you supposed to get a fucking job if you can't afford the internet? Can't afford a phone? See, these types of devices are no longer luxuries in our society, but they're looked at as such. Anyway, I think I have to wrap it up soon, don't I?
Yeah, me too.
Okay, all right. I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you next time. Have fun.